Welcome in, everybody. This is the Final Form podcast. I am your host, Dave, joined by my fellow weebs, Kyle and Alki. Another weekend passes by, which means another episode of Solo Leveling has come out, and it gives us more content to discuss. Maybe not that much, but we have episode 17. This is what we're trained to do. Very much a tease episode in terms of action and also maybe in a way romance. But overall, not too much actually happens this episode, but it does leave us with a hell of a cliffhanger. As I always say in my intros, no episode of Solo Leveling is ever going to be bad. It's just another great episode, of course. But Kyle and Alki, what were your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, it was a little spoiled for me that there was going to be a cliffhanger. I just saw it on the internet. Not that's that big of a deal, but yeah, I just agree. There's really no bad episodes. It's clearly this was a stepping stone to get us to next episode, which will be we'll get the meat of what the cliffhanger was. I think the action still looks fantastic. He's badass. I love the beginning of the Cha is kind of searching out more information about him. So no comments, no negative feedback at all for me. I just enjoyed it.
I watched Solo Leveling for the romance.
yeah, that's why. That's what most of the people do too. I'm sure.
I'm like really happy we're finally getting into all that. Just can't wait. Nah, but look, every season goes like this in every anime. You got to have episodes like this. They're important to the story. The cliffhanger sucks, but you know the next episode's gonna bang.
Yeah, and let's just get right into it because we do pick up exactly where we left off at the end of episode 16. We just get the full interaction here between Sung and Cha. All that we really need to take away from this is that she notices that he doesn't have a smell like the other hunters. She gets up real close and personal with him, gives him a good old whiff, and realizes that he actually doesn't. It's not even just that he doesn't smell at all. It's that he has a nice, pleasant smell to him. And the only other, I guess, takeaway from that also is Sung makes the comparison that the boss of the Red Gate also said something similar. So just to keep it in the people's minds of, we're not too sure what transformation Sung Jin-woo is going under, and he's not even too sure of it himself. But just a great interaction between our girl Cha and Sung, and then, of course, a little bit of a question there with the comparison.
It looks so much weirder animated than it does drawn of her like sniffing him.
Yeah.
You
can see a weird interaction.
I mean, it would just be quite uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In the moment, I do like how he puts the respect on her name, that he had literally no idea she was there until she opened her mouth. So, while the sniffing thing, smell stuff, maybe a little weird, she's a real one. She's earned that S rank title. She obviously has skills and powers that potentially rival Sung. So,
the strong sense of smell is a theme in anime. Like Tanjiro has that, right?
Gon.
Yeah, Gon. Sorry.
No, Tanjiro does as well. I was just naming others to help you.
And I feel like the way they're making, the way hers is, it is weird. Like Gon and Tanjiro don't walk around with like holding their nose. Like relax.
Just have a repugnant smell, I guess. And she does say, I think it's only her or Sung and Gun-hee are the only two people that I think just smell good in general. I don't think she's met anyone else.
I wonder how she think I'd smell.
Terrible.
Well, you're not a hunter. You're a weak no class, so you might smell good.
I might. I hunt, dude.
Okay, so then you would smell bad. That's the trade-off.
Anyway,
but Sung, I also, to your point, Kyle, as well, of him not noticing her, she also thinks that she notices a knife in his hand, and then it quickly vanishes, which also, to kind of compare the two, is a way of her, I guess, it's almost like she's recognizing his strength, but she obviously doesn't know how strong he is, but it is just cool that they both kind of have these moments of like flashes of badassery, But Sung is so good at his mining job that he's offered a full-time position. Of course, he turns it down. We know our boy's looking more so for strength and the rewards that come with that rather than just an above average pay grade. But they do ask him to help him out, at least for tomorrow's double header of an A and C rank dungeon. He agrees to return. I think it's more so out of curiosity and interest that there is a double header of an A and C rank and not knowing who is going to appear for both gates. But when he does return, the next day, it was a really sweet moment. We see here that he has flashes of the group that he raided the double dungeon with in episode 1, 2. So that was like just a really nice callback moment. It just felt like a really sweet moment to see all those familiar faces again and kind of start us down this path of, okay, we're about to head into a situation that might be very similar to what episode 1 was, you know.
It's nice to show too that he is still capable of having these emotions. You know, he's been
Yes.
very cold
Mhm.
for the most part recently, you know, especially going back to the end of season 1. There hasn't been a ton of moments of levity. You know, we have Jinho gets drunk at the KBBQ place when he calls him his little brother, and there's like a little bit there, but like this feels like he's almost even taken aback at like the positive emotion that he's feeling, you know, so he's not just a monster.
Yet. Anyway,
Yeah.
I hear double header dungeon. I'm like, shit's gonna fucking go down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it immediately does because, well, to get him in there, the captain of we'll call him B team for the White Tigers Guild, correct?
This is Hunters still.
Hunters Guild.
Yeah.
This is going to just be an ongoing issue for me. But
Hunters
the B
Guild,
team
red
of the
hair,
Hunters Guild, the leader of that B team is an A rank hunter. His name is Sun Ki-hoon. And he's looking to recruit one of the mining members into the dungeon, the A rank dungeon that they're about to head into, because one of their equipment carriers did not show for the day. Everyone is fearful to join since it's an A rank dungeon. You know, they're offering a high pay raise and a lot of money for those who volunteer, but everyone obviously does not want to risk their life to go into there, except our boy Sung Jin-woo, who's eager to take on the challenge or at least see what's behind the gate of an A rank dungeon. And we meet a couple other of the members too, and we've actually seen, I think specifically 2 of them back in season 1 when we first get introduced to Cha. I'm pretty sure she's talking to the black-haired girl with glasses, and I think she's a blonde or like red hair kind of girl. So those are 2 characters that we are re-seeing again here in this scene. And they enter the dungeon. They're greeted by a couple of jackals, which do provide a little bit of a concern for them. They do wipe the floor easily for them, but they were only just the pets of the real monsters that were in the dungeon, which are the high orcs. And to the B team's surprise, they were there because it sounded like, from what I gathered, it just seemed like high orcs were maybe something of a higher ranked dungeon boss or enemy that one would have come across. And things hit the fan pretty quickly.
This was interesting when I looked up the main differences between these chapters and the show itself. So this episode covers 4 chapters, I believe.
Okay.
And they just significantly shrunk the size of this strike team. You know, there was,
really?
as I'm reading this, it says there was originally 11 A rank hunters and 6 B rank hunters. But in the anime, it's 6 and 3. So we've lost almost half of all of the hunters. And it also looks like they downgraded 2 people who are A rank in the manhwa are now B rank in the anime. I don't think it really matters a ton. The whole point of this is that they're essentially getting overpowered by the high orcs. It is nice that they are like a competent team. It is cool to see that. You know, Jin Woo even comments like they just act without really even being need to be told to do so. The leader does seem like a decent guy. He's fairly strong, let's say, as well. But, you know, why we're here, I mean, the legend uses the stealth ability and just, they just animate it so well. It just looks so cool. And it's like, Solo Leveling always seems to find what's like the most badass thing he can do in this situation. Like, it would be kind of cool, you could say, if he just like completely killed all of them in a flash. But the fact that he's like invisible, like just cutting like their Achilles tendons and like doing little thing, it's just like so cool. I just love it so much.
Yeah, he is the man, dude. He's like the stealth. He has everything. Like he can do everything. Like there was a moment when he was with Cha and he just like hid his fucking sword that he was holding real quick, and she was like, "Am I dreaming?" Like everything he does is just baller. I think it's great that he didn't just wipe them all out because, you know, he's trying to remain discreet. He doesn't want to give his, he doesn't want to reveal what he's actually capable of, or just reveal who he is really in general. And he's so smart, you know what I mean? He can read the situation. He walked in when he felt the presence. He's like, oh, you know what I mean? And thank God he's there for them. Seriously.
Without a doubt. I mean, you guys said it perfectly. It's just the way that he hides and thinks that he's hiding is really cool. And then we get after the fight, you know, one of the mages, actually, who I was referring to, is from season 1 when we first get introduced to Cha. She is thinking to herself that this guy's got to be like a noob in a sense if he's just going to go out there, use his stealth magic and not think that these magic casters are going to notice it.
But she's definitely the only one that noticed him.
She implies that the other magic casters, I think, notice it, but we only really get her perspective of it. I took it as Sun Ki-hoon, the captain, did not notice it because he wasn't a magic caster. Like, it was only her and maybe the 2 other mages.
She must be strong. Do we know what her rank is?
I think she was one of the A. I think she must
be A if she recognized him.
Yeah.
That's what I like how the captain too is aware. He's like, something was up. You know, he's not so cocky.
Like, kind of in a way,
wasn't so cocky that he's like flexing on the orcs or anything. And he's like aware that something changed, whatever it may be.
Although it would have been hilarious if he was like, haha, see, they're scared of us. We just wiped them out.
Would have been interesting to see Sung Jinwoo's like response to that. At least his thought to that. I'm sure he would have laughed.
That would have given him a derp face.
Kim Chul's reaction would have been, oh, I just fucking handle these high orcs. Like, send me in an S rank dungeon, whatever.
But the one thing I was thinking too while watching this, when that guy gets his arm cut off, I almost can't think of a better feeling in my life than like that arm regrowing. Like, what a relief that would be as your arm just grows back in like 2 seconds. Like, I would buy her I would pay her rent for a long time if you're just regrowing my arm like that. Like, holy crap.
Marvel Rivals has taught us anything. It's healers are essential to team composition.
Very true. Very true. I could almost feel the relief through the screen. Like, he was screaming at his arm guy, and then she just grows it back. I would be like, oh, thank God. You. Yeah.
After narrowly handling the maybe 10 high orcs that were there, the captain does make the executive and smart decision to leave the dungeon. It's cool that we see, again, the parallels of this episode to episode 1, because, you know, Sung in that episode, in episode 1, the group decides to press forward, or at least majority vote says, let's go forward. And even the captain was like, okay, I'm kind of about seeing what's a little further ahead too. But here we kind of see the counter of that, where we have a competent leader who really cares about the safety of his crew and isn't too greedy. They decide to withdraw, but unfortunately, withdrawing is not an option here. As soon as the magic casters try to release the barrier that is preventing them from exiting, it turns out to be a curse, and it is highly affecting the magic casters. And just when you think things couldn't get any bleaker, they turn around and there is an army of high orcs behind them. Most of the high orcs, you know, are in the background. One steps up and has like a little seizure moment, which in the moment I thought was kind of referring to what had happened with the ice elves in a couple episodes ago, where they kind of glitched out, but this was not the case. And I think they could have probably done this a little bit better, but what the cause of the awkward motions was the head high orc of the dungeon is talking through the high orc that is in front of them, and basically offers them the option of, you guys can either die here by my soldiers right where you stand, or you can follow us back. The high orc reveals his name to be Kargala. I'm not even going to try. We'll just call him Kar. We'll call him Kar.
That works.
And this is where we have that sad despair moment, but it doesn't feel as bleak as it did back in the Karthanon temple. The soldiers here are kind of ready to prepare, or they're ready to face their demise, and they're all just giving their last final words. You know, one of them hands a letter to Sung and is like, hey, it's very short, but this is my will. Can you just give it to my family? Like, they're ready. They're embracing this final battle that they're about to go into. And of course, we know that Sung, like, this isn't a spoiler by any means, because we just know that Sung is going to help them out. Like, Sung has clearly attached himself to these people and like recognizes that they're nice and good and smart people. So we know that hopefully that he will come to their savior, but they do follow the High Orc back to what is this arena, essentially this coliseum of High Orcs, and we do meet the boss Carr, and he looks pretty intimidating, man. And that's where the episode ends. But holy shit, we know that we are in for a battle in the next episode.
Yeah, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that Sung Jin-woo is probably going to be collecting some soldiers next episode because there are just so many of them in that
room. There's like 1,000 High Orcs at least, and we know they just struggled with 10 of them. The only way they get out of this is if Sung hits them with an Arise.
Yeah, that means they're like A rank level.
Oh
right?
yeah, and at least the High Orcs are, and
right. That's why every time I see people clash, that's what I think. I'm like, how strong are they?
Like,
how
even though
strong would Sung's soldiers be if he rises?
Like a High Orc could be like an A rank monster, but like individually, that A rank monster is going to lose 1v1 to an A rank hunter. But like I think what makes it an A rank dungeon is the fact that there's like a lot of
A rank monsters.
Yeah.
Not
it's
all
also,
of them.
Yeah. They also get the feeling, I don't remember off the top of my head, but anime only, and I guess in the sense I almost am because I don't remember how it goes in the manga, but it feels like they're suppressing their magic power, or at the very least Carr is. The way that he holds rank over all of these guys. I thought he looked fantastic. All the colors, like the paint and everything looked really cool. And I like the parallel that you made too to the Red Gate situation that happens at the start of this, where we have the A rank leader there who becomes Iron for us, and he's just so brash, and he's all about like the strength, and the weak are useless. And then we get that perfectly contrasted with this Hunter's Guild strike squad, where it's like, all right, we're all a team, like we're gonna face all this together, like if we die we die, but like we have this goal of stopping the dungeon break, and that's such like a noble mission.
And they also are trying to save Sung. Like they are still under the impression he is an E rank hunter. They're like, okay, we ourselves are going to take on what's up ahead. You go back and, deliver the message. So again, they're not leaving him behind. It's not like, oh, we're stronger, we're just going to move on ahead. It's they want to protect who they think is weaker than them.
And it's an interesting reflection of the guilds and what we've seen so far, I guess you could say, of the guild leaders. We have Beck, who's the leader of White Tiger, who was with us in the Red Gate. He seems a little bit emotional, let's say. He transforms into that beast form to maybe fight Hwang Dong-suk, who comes and wants to kill. So, he's like ready to scrap at any moment. He seems kind of aggressive. He's running over to the offices last episode when Sung Jin-woo gets tested, or retested rather. And then we have the Hunter's Guild, we have Cha, we have Choi, who's the fire mage guy, who's humanity's strongest weapon. And they seem to be, let's say, more clean cut, more professional. Everything is like in a very orderly manner. Let's say they run the way they run.
They have the fact that they have a B team. I know Sung makes it the idea of, okay, it's just a big guild, but that shows organization within the guild.
Yeah. So he's learning these different ways to run a guild. At some level, he's not oblivious to the fact that there's different ways to do things. And like we've mentioned, and he says a bunch of times in the episode, he is impressed by the Hunters Guild and the Strike Force, the B team, and all that stuff. Because we know there's a decision kind of looming over him of like, is he going to join a guild? Is he going to create his own? Is he going to, we know Jin Ho is in the background, hopefully trying to convince him to join his guild. So it's all that's happening in the background.
I don't know how in that world, if you know that like S ranks exist, how do you parade around as a measly A rank thinking you're the hot shit like Iron? Like come on, bro.
Well, also at that point there's only 9 people that are ranked higher than you technically, so
yeah, true, but fuck that. Anyway,
I think the B rank assassin shouldn't have felt like the one that's
the B rank, definitely
him,
not.
like it's like, you're a nobody at this point for us.
I was thinking like the glitching shit with the ice. I know that it's not the case for the orcs, but maybe it was like the program.
Yeah, it's still we
don't really know.
It still could have been the program. We don't know, and I guess they also didn't make it clear either if it was Sung understanding the orcs' monster language, or if it was the orc actually speaking Japanese. You know what I mean?
I think he was speaking Japanese because
did they all acknowledge? They did all acknowledge him. You're right. But That would have added a layer
I
to
think
it.
that there's obviously some sort of correlation between all the events that Sung's been a part of and the program and how he's the player. Like, there's
Yeah,
no
he
way.
does say that this episode, which I don't even remember the last time he referred to himself as a player. If
Right.
anything, we've only ever heard really of the system itself. And
Mhm. Exactly. So there's for some reason, like he's finding himself in the middle of all these,
Right.
like keeps finding himself between a rock and a hard place, and all these pickles has to do with whatever he is involved with. I mean, I think, and we're gonna see.
yeah.
My lasting, maybe final part is gonna be I loved the way that they animated him ripping the orc's head off with like the ruler's
Oh
touch.
yes, the spine comes out too. Yeah,
That
it's not
was
just the head.
such a nice teaser for like what he's when he's in the arena at the end with all of them. Like, what is he gonna come up with? You know, I just think Roller's touch is one of my favorite skills that he has. It's so cool the way he ends up using
And
it
they
all the time.
animated it as like in the invisible hand, like
Yeah,
going
it's not
around
like
the
something
neck.
you can see. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the only thing where I was like, okay, if I'm the strike team and I see that, I'm like, okay, who did that?
Yeah.
I didn't do
Which
that.
one of you?
Yeah, who did that? But whatever.
It's
It's
all good.
funny.
It's just another banger of an episode, and we're really expecting our expectations with a cliffhanger like this are certainly very high for the next one. I don't know if it's going to be all action. I kind of hope it is. I wouldn't mind a full episode of just, back and forth fighting between Carr and Sung, but we'll have to see. Any other final thoughts for you guys here? I don't think there's anything in terms of like spoilers that I personally need to talk about or get off the chest.
Now, when I looked at like the differences between, it wasn't anything major. The one that I called out seemed to me to be like the major one. It's crazy how like I'm looking at this list and this mod on the subreddit puts it together every episode, and somehow they come up with like 15 bullet notes.
Yeah, I was gonna be honest. Watching this episode, I was like, this felt like a 1-to-1 comparison. I honestly had no idea that there was.
There's just so many little things. Like in the
Yeah.
manhwa, the dungeon jackals have signs they had leashes on them, but don't actually have leashes on them. Just like
Oh, it was
things
like there
that.
weren't. It was just like bare skin or something. There.
Yeah, it's just
okay.
things like that they change,
Yeah.
and they move scenes around. But it did seem like the show was moving so fast in the beginning, and now we're moving slower a little bit. And I think I'm okay with that. I'm still very confident that this season, the end of this season, is going to be insane.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I mean, obviously, everybody knows here that we've read. It's like it's not a spoiler for me to say, like, at this point in the story, while there's a lot of cool shit that happened, like what happens now was definitely one of those moments while reading, like, okay, like I cannot put this down.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And reading what transpires like in the next couple episodes and the rest of the season, it's like I already saw it in animation because the
Right,
manga is in color and it's so awesome. So I mean, like I always say this with every freaking thing we cover. It's like amazing seeing it animated and jumping out of the screen. But like seriously though, Sung Jin-woo is so fucking cool, man.
and it definitely hits for this one because there were such high expectations because of how it was drawn and the manga looked so good. So we just keep saying amazing and cool because they're doing it justice. It's not just, a cheap animation studio coming to try and put their best out there. Like they are giving it their all every week, and we are definitely
I
seeing it.
recommend any listener out there who has not read the manga or has not read the source material, the manga, check it out if you want. Don't spoil yourself if you're enjoying the anime, but if you don't want to do solo leveling, there are other good ones out there like God of High School that is really fun to read, and it's so cool just reading a story like this in color and like serialized in color. Like One Piece comes out in color now, but it's not coming out week by week in color. Like imagine if One Piece was coming out in color
weekly. Yeah,
like that would be so cool. You know what I mean?
Oda would need 48 hours in a day,
but it's really interesting, and I'm just really excited to see Sung Jin-woo fuck this dungeon up.
Yeah, like Aoki said, we're really at the tip of the iceberg here. It's more so when we find out more about the monsters themselves. We get more into the Sung's quote unquote father storylines that like things will start piecing their way together. Right now, we're still on that buildup of him just needing to become stronger, and we're here absolutely for that. But that's going to be it for today's episode coverage of Solo Leveling. If you like what you heard, give Bingetown TV a follow on all of our socials on X, Insta, YouTube, TikTok. That's still around, thankfully. Be sure to join our Discord, which is linked in our episode description, and chat with us about everything that you're watching with us or anything that you are currently watching and want us to know about. We're also going to ask for you to check out our newest Bingetown TV feeds called The Core, which covers all of the newest and hottest Apple TV shows. Currently, that feed is covering Severance. We also have Binge Empire, which is currently covering Dexter. And then lastly, for all of our podcast catalog, be sure to check out bingetowntv.com. There's a nice alphabetical list of all the shows we've ever covered, so it's the best place to hear all of our coverages. We are the Final Form Podcast, and thank you so much for listening.